Hello and welcome to ILTV's Evening Update. I'm Aaron Porras here with the latest news from Israel. Ahead of today's meeting between United States President Donald Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, a White House official stated that the new White House policy regarding Middle East peace is to support whatever the parties on the ground agree to, even if that means dropping the idea of a two-state solution. Israeli cabinet members, including Netanyahu, should theoretically be rejoicing to the news, since according to recent leaks from the latest cabinet meeting, the consensus was to try to convince President Trump that a two-state solution at the moment would be a waste of time. Israel's tourism minister Yariv Levin went even further by saying he was happy to see the shift in American policy towards what he interpreted as support for Jewish presence in Judea and Samaria. Palestinian leaders saw the statements as deeply concerning and even confusing, however. PLO Executive Committee member Hanan Ashrawi responded incredulously, saying, "This does not make sense. This is not a responsible policy, and it does not serve the cause of peace. They cannot just say that without an alternative." PLO Secretary General Saeb Erekat went one step further by condemning the new White House policy, saying that those who believe that they can undermine the two-state solution and replace it with what I call one state, two systems, meaning maintaining the status quo now, or apartheid, I don't think in the 21st century they will get away with it. The White House official statement from this morning was that a two-state solution that doesn't bring peace is not a goal that anybody wants to achieve. Peace is the goal, whether it comes in the form of a two-state solution, if that's what the parties want, or something else, if that's what the parties want. We're going to help them. Lebanese President Michael Aoun has called upon the Arab League to act against Israel's Judaization. Speaking at a meeting with delegates in Cairo on Tuesday, Aoun said the Zionist ideology was succeeding in transforming the Zionist-Arab war into a sectarian inter-Arab war, which justifies Israel's Judaization. This alone is enough to make us unite our efforts to preserve the holy Christian and Muslim landmarks. Aoun, who is a Maronite, told Arab League Secretary General Ahmed Abul Gheit of the need to preserve the character of Jerusalem and its Christian and Muslim legacies. Is it possible to imagine Jerusalem without Al-Aqsa Mosque and without the Church of the Holy Sepulchre? Aoun was visiting Egypt for the first time since his election in October. Dozens of BDS demonstrators protested and interrupted a speech by Israeli ambassador to the UN, Dani Danon, at Columbia University in New York last night. About 100 activists assembled outside the lecture theater, holding Palestinian flags and placards bearing the slogans such as "Racists Not Wanted" and "Collective Punishment is a Crime." The demonstrators screamed slogans against Danon, against Israel, and against the immigration policies of President Trump. Shortly thereafter, they barged their way into the theater to prevent it from continuing. Danon called out the student agitators directly, saying, "We will not be quiet in the face of lies that you spread about Israel. We will continue to make our voice heard, and we will continue to insist on our righteous truth." He then invited the campaigners to listen to his lecture, telling them, "Instead of inciting and lying, sit in the seats and maybe you'll learn something." A disorderly woman passenger on an Air Canada flight from Toronto to Tel Aviv, who was choking travelers at random, forced the plane to make an emergency landing at London's Heathrow Airport earlier today. Passengers had to physically restrain the woman until the plane touched down in London. The flight was declared an emergency while flying over northern Scotland 6 hours after taking off from Toronto. The pilots alerted air safety authorities that they would not continue the flight while the disruptive passenger remained on board, and then made the emergency landing at Heathrow. 10 police cars were waiting for the aircraft on the tarmac, and officers boarded the plane upon its arrival to remove the woman. The incident comes days after Air Canada announced that it was introducing bi-weekly direct flights from Tel Aviv to Montreal from June through the conclusion of the Jewish high holiday season in October. In the latest blow to the Forex and binary options market, the FBI has officially opened an investigation into the binary options fraud worldwide. Last month, law enforcement from North America and Europe gathered at The Hague for an emergency summit regarding the issue. Central to the problem are the majority of companies whose call centers are located in the Jewish state. In October, Prime Minister Netanyahu called for the whole industry, most of which is fraudulent, to be banned worldwide, though Israel itself has yet to shut down these companies. Indeed, most of the victims of the 100+ companies that exist today in Israel choose to operate with people abroad. The FBI is calling on anyone who feels they may have been victim to these practices to come forward. The FBI is also working with credit card companies and banks to have them do their part in identifying and preventing fraudulent transactions. An agency spokeswoman speaking with the Times of Israel said, quote, "We see this as a global problem and work with all of those who are willing to address the problem and eradicate this criminal threat." That's all for now. Stay tuned on ILTV.tv for our main daily broadcast playing after this. I'm Aaron Porras, and see you next time with our morning briefing from Israel at 8 a.m. Eastern Time.